Tech family, today I'm going to tell you what it's like to own and use the HP Spectre 13.5 x360 for 2022. Who should buy it, how it compares to last year's model, and other competitors that you may be considering. Because I've been using this laptop almost exclusively for the last couple of weeks, and I personally bought and owned last year's model myself, so I'm very familiar with this device. But before I get into it, do me a favor, if at the end of this video you like what you watched, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the like button. It shows your appreciation for the insane amount of effort that goes into making these. Plus, as I always say, it makes my mother very proud. Just a heads up on the naming of this laptop. I've seen it called both the Spectre x360 13.5 and the Spectre x360 14. Last year, as I recall, it was called the Spectre 14, but it had a 13.5-inch screen. In marketing material sent to me this year, it is called the 13.5, but some of HP's own documentation still seems to be calling it the 14. It's the same device though. Anyway, let's start with the things I love about this laptop and why I personally bought one last year. This laptop has the most comfortable keyboard of any laptop that I have ever tested. If you value a great typing experience, you must try this keyboard. Secondly, the OLED screen is a joy to look at. It's very color accurate, it's bright, it's high resolution, and the rare 3:2 aspect ratio will ensure you see a ton of information on screen, specifically for applications that go down the page, like Word, web browsers, and software development IDEs. It's almost the perfect display, with two exceptions to call out. PWM flickering is used. This turns the screen on and off very fast to control brightness. I normally find this causes my eyes to get tired over time, but I didn't have any issues in my use of this laptop. And lastly, it only has a 60Hz refresh rate, so movement on screen won't be as smooth as on a faster refresh rate display. But all in all, it's a display that your friends will be envious of if you have. This device looks and feels premium. One of my staff saw it and immediately exclaimed, "Wow, that is a nice looking laptop." And it is. That being said, color is subjective. I personally don't love this Nightfall black color. But if I was to buy this laptop, I would only purchase it with this color or the blue. That's because the silver model likely has light colored keys with a light colored backlight, which will make the keys very hard to make out in certain lighting conditions. HP is notorious for doing this on their laptops with silver colored keys. Back on the sturdiness of the chassis. The exterior edges of the laptop feel sturdy. However, when you press in the center of the lid, you will notice some flex. There is also a little flex on the keyboard deck, but I didn't find that too distracting in real use. For the screen size and the build quality, this laptop is portable enough. I love that HP includes a super tiny 65-watt USB-C charger that helps with the total carry weight of this laptop. Here's how the webcam looks and sounds in excellent lighting conditions. It's filming in 1440 and I think it looks pretty decent. The laptop can be flipped around to use as a tablet and comes with a tilt pen that worked well, although I'm not a graphic artist so I'm not sure how well it really works. And for a premium laptop, the pricing is excellent if you pick this laptop up on sale. Best Buy, for example, tends to regularly put this laptop on sale for several $100s off. So, as you can see, there is a lot to love about this laptop. But one of the main reasons I got this laptop in for review was to see if the issue I had with last year's had been fixed. I bought last year's model with my own money as my personal laptop for script writing and web browsing, as I said. I chose it because of what I just mentioned: great keyboard, excellent screen, and form factor. But unfortunately, the cooling solution couldn't handle the power-hungry Intel i7-1165G7 processor inside. What would happen is in light use, the fans would all of a sudden come on very loud to try to cool the laptop. This was extremely disturbing, and I eventually sold the laptop because of this. I was worried that this year HP would do something silly and again try to cram in a high-powered processor just like other manufacturers had done by putting Intel's P-series processors inside their small, thin laptops. But to my delight, HP has chosen to put a less power-hungry U-series processor inside. I can tell you, just from using it, it no longer has the issue of last year's model. The fans do not come on blasting out of the blue. That being said, this is also still not a completely quiet laptop. You will hear some fan noise in everyday use, but it's more of a consistent low volume than a sudden jet engine. So Let's see how this Intel 12th Gen i7 U-Series processor performs. I'm going to test both the default balance mode and performance mode configurable in the HP Command Center software. We will start with Geekbench, which tests a variety of common short-running tasks. You can see that it performs much better than last year's Intel 11th Gen model, not even in the same league. In terms of multi-core, it's competitive. It beat out the 6-core, 12-thread Ryzen 5 6600HS in the IdeaPad 5 Pro 14 I recently tested. Switching to Cinebench, which tests the laptop when under full load, it again destroys the model from last year. That being said, as you can see, the Intel 12th Gen U-Series processor in this laptop and my X1 Carbon is not the strongest performing processor out there for a 14-inch laptop. You should look elsewhere if you want the best performance. But honestly, a score of over 8,000 in Cinebench, it's not bad either. Looking at how the laptop maintains its performance over a 10-minute torture test, you can see that when in best performance mode, there is a drop, but not by that much. Looking at the laptop's power draw during this test, you can see that the default balance mode is quite frugal in its power draw, but under best performance mode, the laptop initially draws 42 watts, but then drops, averaging 29 watts of power over the 10-minute torture test. This shows that the cooling solution in this laptop simply can't effectively cool this processor. By the way, take a look at how efficient the MacBook Pro 14 with the M1 Pro chip is compared to this Intel processor. It performed better drawing less power. Here is the CPU temperature for the torture test. No surprises, it maxes at 100 degrees Celsius on best performance, causing the laptop to drop power fed to the processor to try to cool it. By the way, I did not test graphics performance of this laptop extensively, as the integrated graphics performance of these Intel chips is extremely subpar when compared to Apple or AMD. Don't buy this laptop if you want to game or do video editing. Overall, performance is a big step forward from last year, and I'm happy enough with it. I do think HP made the right choice as to which processor to put in the laptop, well, given how unavailable AMD Ryzen 6000 U-Series processors seem to be. However, I will say this, in everyday use, although the laptop was fast enough, it wasn't the snappiest performing laptop that I've used. The MacBook Pro 14, for example, was noticeably faster. Let's now look at heat you'd feel while using the laptop and fan noise you hear. When the laptop is under full load, doing high performance tasks, the keyboard deck feels warm and the underside feels hot. You'll want to use the laptop on a desk for this. Fan noise was acceptable when on balance mode, but became quite noticeable on best performance mode. In everyday use, like browsing the web, using Office applications, etc. As I said, you could always hear the fans going if you listen closely, and over time, the laptop would feel a little warm. There are cooler feeling, quieter laptops out there for sure. Performance when on battery is quite decent. There isn't much of a drop, particularly when you run the laptop on best performance mode. And to test battery life, I set the screen's brightness as close to 200 nits as possible. I then ran a movie from Netflix playing on a repeat over Wi-Fi for 4 hours. At the end, I recorded 57% remaining, so you should be able to get around 8.5 hours of battery in a similar use case. Probably more if you lower the brightness further, which is a pretty decent result. So let me just quickly run you through several things that I don't love about this laptop that you must be aware of before buying it. The trackpad is too slippery. I found it hard to get comfortable with. And yes, I tried turning down the sensitivity. By comparison, it's less slippery and more comfortable to use than the trackpad I recently tested in the ThinkPad Z13. This seems to be a trend for manufacturers of high-end PC laptops to put slippery trackpads in. Please stop. The port placement in this year's model is ridiculous. The headphone mic combo jack has been moved to the diagonal back edge of the laptop, where the USB-C port is on the other side. These ports are hard to plug cables into, since you can't see them from where you would sit facing the laptop. They are also easy to knock. The USB-C connections also don't seem to go fully in, which is odd. And unfortunately, both charging-capable ports are on the right side, so you'll have to run a cable around the back if your outlet is on the other side. The sound, although loud, is a bit muddy sounding. It definitely does not compete with the speakers in Apple's MacBook Pros. And saving the worst till last. Closing the lid of my Spectre 13.5 does not cause the laptop to sleep. It keeps running as if the laptop is open. You can see my B-roll. The keyboard backlight is still on when the laptop is closed. This has caused my laptop to get very warm in my backpack, and the laptop runs itself out of battery power. This also happened on my model from last year. And lastly, this is one of those laptops that doesn't seem to sleep properly when I close the lid. Here's an example where I'm watching The Office, close the lid, and you can hear it keep playing.
Come on, you can tell me. Jim, you can tell me anything.
This is completely unacceptable. That being said, I've searched the net, and it does not seem that others are reporting this issue, so perhaps I just happened to get 2 lemons. Only buy this laptop if you can return it if this occurs, and if it does, swap it to a different unit or a different laptop. So let's wrap. The Spectre 13.5 x360 is one of the better laptops that I've reviewed this year, specifically for those who are looking for a laptop for office work, browsing the web, or school. For this use case, you've got one of the best keyboards in a laptop, a display others will be envious of. It's lightweight, given the size of the screen, there's enough performance, and the price is very good. The main downsides are that you will hear a bit of fan noise while using it, and if you get a unit like mine that won't sleep when you close the lid, you will obviously need to return it. That being said, for the use case that suits this laptop, if you can afford a MacBook Pro 14 and are okay with macOS, I'd prefer you go that route. It's a better laptop overall. It's more powerful, has better battery life, better ports, speakers, etc. You will sacrifice a bit of portability compared to the Spectre though, as the MacBook is a little heavier. And when it comes to comparing the MacBook Air with M2 to this laptop's keyboard is quite a bit better. So it's a bit closer. That being said, I'd still recommend you get the MacBook Air with M2 over this. But if you do want a PC laptop and you can find the Spectre on one of those regular rotating sales that it is known to go on, it is very competitive and I'd strongly consider it. Compared to the XPS 13 Plus, that laptop feels more premium and is more portable due to its size. But the Spectre can be found at a better price and can be more useful due to its screen size and aspect ratio. I'm also testing how it compares to the new X1 Carbon right now. So make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, as you'll be the first to hear my thoughts on that laptop. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you need help choosing a laptop, make sure to check out our Discord server where vetted laptop advisors are standing by to help you out. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day, and I will catch you later.